Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting an Iron Hands Gladiator Lancer from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to airbrushes.com who provide me with all my airbrush equipment that I use in this video. If you check the description box down below you'll find a direct link to airbrushes.com's web store where you can find out more great information about the products that they sell. In this tutorial we'll be painting the Iron Hands Gladiator in a most simplistic way that we possibly can, but at the same time getting really nice results. So get settled, go grab yourselves a nice hot drink, or maybe my favourite, an ice cold beer, and we'll get started with the tutorial. We start off by priming the miniature using Alclad 2's Lacquer Primer Black. It's very important to note that using Alclad's lacquer primers are very harmful if inhaled. Please make sure you're well ventilated and wearing a respirator, and also make sure you're using a good quality airbrush. I'm using an Iwata Eclipse airbrush that I got from airbrushes.com, and this has PTFE solvent proof packing seals, which basically means that solvent based paints will be fine to be sprayed out the airbrush. I'm priming the miniature here at about 20 psi and about 3 to 4 inches away from the model. As you can see, I constantly keep the airbrush moving because I don't want to build up paint in any one spot and leave unsightly drip or run marks on the miniature. As you can see, one of the great benefits of Alclad's primers is they dry really quickly, and also they cure very quickly as well. So this is the reason that I prefer to use Alclad primers. Now we're going to highlight the tank using German Panzer Grey from Vallejo's Surface Primer range. We're also going to add a tiny amount of grey primer from the Vallejo Mecha Colour range. So to 10 drops of the Panzer German Grey we'll add 1 drop of the grey primer from Mecha Colour, and it's just to highlight the tank. If you find that it's too bright, add a little bit more German Panzer Grey, or if you find it's a little too dark, add a little bit more of the Mecha Colour Grey primer. But here you just see that I'm leaving all the black behind in all of the recesses, and the grey mix is being placed on all of the top surface areas of the panels and any areas where I think a natural highlight would occur. Now we're going to use Vallejo Metal Colour Gunmetal Grey. These are absolutely fantastic paints, and They're brilliant for the airbrush, but they also handbrush paint fantastic as well. The brush I'm using here is a dry brush, but I find that painting large areas of one particular colour works really well with a small dry brush. This small dry brush can be got from Red Grass Games. Now we're going to create some deep shading, and this is going to also break up a lot of the grey and black on the model. I've switched over to my Iwata HPB Plus airbrush, and as you can see, it enables me to get finer lines and more accurate detail on the miniature. I look for all the recessed areas in the model, or areas where I think mud would naturally accumulate on the tank. As you can see, I also put some of the charred brown colour on the bottoms of the decals, again just to break up the white of the decal and just to make it look a little grubby and more interesting. Don't worry if you find this tricky if you're a newcomer to airbrushing, as if you add too much of the brown, or charred brown I should say, then you can go back over it with the grey mix you had earlier, and there's no wrong and there is no right. It's just a case of playing with the colours on the tank until you're happy with the results. Again, you can see that I'm focusing the charred brown colour on the bottom parts of the tank there, where I think mud would naturally occur on the tank if it was to be travelling over a muddy field, for example. Now we're going to create some really stark highlights using some Vallejo Game Air Silver. We're going to be dry brushing the whole of the tank, and we're going to be trying to catch all of the extreme surface details of the tank. It's really important to note that the brush has to be fairly dry. As you can see, I'm using my painting bottoms at the moment to dry off the bristles of the brush. I don't recommend doing that in your Sunday bests, guys, but yeah, I just dry brush all around the details. That's going to make all those panels pop and come alive. It's also going to make the tank not look so what's the word for it, flat and lifeless. It's really going to make it pop and come alive. As you can see, I build up the dry brushing highlights nice and slow, as I say, with the brush practically bone dry, and this enables me to get those really nice subtle highlights onto the vehicle. As I mentioned a moment ago, I actually wear specific painting clothes that I rub paint on and wipe my hands down. Do you guys get messy while you're painting, or are you a lot more tidy than me? Let me know in the comments field down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Is it just me being weird wearing painting clothes, or do you actually have specific clothes for painting in yourselves? Let me know. I really want to hear your thoughts. I haven't filmed it on this video, but there's a lot of lenses on the Gladiator tank, and what I've actually done is painted them all using Games Workshop's Mephiston Red. After painting all of the final details on the tank, like all the red lenses or any other little details that I wanted to pick out on the tank, I'm coming in with Vallejo's Mecha Colour Matte Varnish. This is a fantastic varnish, and I highly recommend you buy the 200ml size, and you can get it for about £10 in the UK, and it will save a lot of money in the long run as opposed to buying smaller bottles of varnish. The reason we varnish the tank is for a few reasons. We want to obviously protect the paintwork on the miniature, but also you'll find that some paints look more satin than others and some paints look more matte than others. So what the matte varnish will do, it will tie all of the paintwork together and make it look like it's all one texture. And here we have the finished Gladiator Iron Hands tank. And as I mentioned at the very start of the video, guys, this was going to be a very simple and easy to follow tutorial. I'm hoping that if you actually want to paint Iron Hands and follow along with this tutorial, you'll be able to get exactly the same results that I've got on this tank with your own. I want to say a huge thank you to airbrushes.com for being the supplier of all my airbrush equipment. I also want to thank Brian Ross for helping me out when I need it. He's a great buddy of mine, and this tutorial wouldn't have been possible without his help. So I also want to say obviously a huge thank you to all my supporters. So hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Even better still, leave a comment and let me know what you think of the tutorial, and I'll catch you in the next one.